that's longer. To just strike, I'm just having a couple of brammers, aren't I? Mark Crossfield here, Wilson F5 V6 FG Tour irons, forged Wilson Staff irons. 3 models on the course, it's starting to rain, let's test them in some different situations. Classic looks, let's get stuck in. So I'm 150 yards out and I've got a 6 iron and the wind is off the right whipping, so I'm going to do like a little chippy controlled shot, and I'm going to start with the FG Tour. Now before we hit these, let's just show you some dry ball data numbers that I collected, kind of custom fit numbers, to give you an idea how these perform when we haven't got a gale force wind from the right. So looking at the Wilson range, FG Tour 162 carry, FG Tour V6 167, that's longer, and the FG Tour F5 is 160, so the FG Tour V6 definitely getting some extra distance for me there, but I think it's a lot to do with what strike I'm putting in there, because I've looked at the lofts and the top two there are almost identical. Spin, again, staying relatively constant, 6.1 down to 5.4, and then 5.5, we're talking 5-600 res, which again my strike's going to override. Very good numbers, relatively true to be honest, which I like to see, just a little bit higher on FG Tour V6. Be interesting to see if that continues out on the course. Interesting to see how the middle one there for me jumped up, wasn't it? So the V6 FG Tour was the strongest, but so much that I think was my strike on that test. Let's put them in a real environment then. So we're going to start with the classic one. This has to be one of the best looking clubs I've ever seen. But that's because I'm come from an era where I remember when ferrules used to look like this. And I remember when they used to do this kind of crimping around here and make it look like they've made this look. You got a bore through shaft on this one. Milled face I think it is, which it is. You get these little dots down the side, which again is so classic old school blade. I think Langer, that era of them all with the Wilson bags, that still means something to me. I get that. So look, how does FG Tour feel? Controlled in the wind shot. Can I pull it off? Well, that is a lovely feel. That's a nice result. Sit. There, pin eye, just to the right. See if I got any numbers on that. It's a 149 carry, spinning at 5,100 res. You've got to remember, I'm playing a little knockdown feel shot. And this is why I love doing these reviews on the course, because you play golf on the course, don't you? You don't play it in that bay, you don't play it with all that kind of registered data. You can use that to give you confidence, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to funk town a bit with these things. V6 FG Tour, we get 6 iron and lower irons has a centered tungsten weight. Longer irons it moves out to the heel and the toe to try and obviously help with forgiveness. This is a beautiful looking iron, very chrome finish. I think it's forged as well. It is, it says it on it. So same shot again. We don't get the ferrule, but we get that pretty crimping around the outside, and you can post your comments saying that makes no difference. This makes all the difference. This gives me 20 yards extra distance, perfect spin rate, so perfect land angle, gives me constant speeds across the face, just looks pretty. So this one was more powerful in the test, so let's see what happens when we hit the similar shot. This is a fantastic looking iron, next to no offset. The chrome looks good, not too long a blade length, which I like. You don't get the dots on the face. But this is going to appeal to a lot of players. Oh, I didn't strike that one as well, so the wind's taking it a little further left. 142 spinning at 5,600. That's going to need a friendly bounce. F5 to finish then, same shot, forged. It's got a little hole or cavity slot in here, which is going to try and keep the face more friendly on the bottom, I think they're saying. Same crimping around the neck. This one for me, it's got a stabilizing bar at the back as well. This one looks nice from here. It's got this kind of duller finish, slightly thicker top line, next to no offset a tiny bit. So there is a progression as we go up through the irons from no offset a tiny bit to a fraction more, and the thickness in the top line changes. On the shop floor, which makes no difference to performance, this one in this looking position is the worst looking. It just looks a little cheap, and it isn't. It's a forged iron, but it looks cheap from this angle. I think it's the colour that does it. But remember, that has nothing to do with performance, and hopefully most of you are clever enough to purchase on a bit of performance. Same shot then. Hit that well. I've just hung it out to the right. It's not coming back enough. Or that could be catching the bunker. With my controlled shot, that's spinning at 5,500 revs, carrying 147. So the dry numbers showed a fluctuation, didn't it, in the performance? When I'm playing a shot to try and hit target, did you see how similar all those numbers were? Interesting, isn't it? Golf, eh? It's about me, is it? But isn't it about these? What? It's what I do. So you can see the bladed one there was my best shot. Up on the left here, that is it called the V6, that one? So many clubs in here. So that was V6. So distance control again, me. A little bit further left, didn't quite catch it, wind took it. And I'm guessing, there she blows. Not the same ferrule, is it? I'm going to play this one just for fun. Oh, nice shot. So 180 yards out, wind down and off the right, and this is a tiny green. This hole is like a drive and a pitch, and the green's set up for that. But let's have a bit of fun hitting 6 irons in here, and we'll walk up and see which one stops, or I can hit straighter. FG Tour to start. It does just look amazing, this club. Anything on the green stopping here for me would be a result, because this is a minuscule target with this wind. Leave it, wind. That was at it, and the wind's just knocking it left now. Oh, I didn't see it down, but I think it caught the green. Feels good, it feels soft. It's butterfin top line, small, narrow sole as well. These dots just frame up the whole face so nicely. If you are looking for one of the nicest blades you can get your hands on, this one has a lot of ticks in my boxes. So let's see how V6 does. Very much reminds me of AP2 in its looks. So similar kind of head length and top line look and colorways. It's got a real classic look looking down it this way, and obviously will offer a bit of help with the tungsten and the small cavity back. You know what it's like. I mean, Wilson are just not putting themselves in your faces every week, so we don't think of them, but the product at the moment just feels good. Oh, stop going left. That is missing the green left, unless it gets a very soft bounce. All me, but we'll get up there and see. Hit it well, just slightly left. It feels good. Hard to tell the difference between the two in feel, to be honest. And let's hit one more with F5 FG forged. Again, I just don't like looking at it this way. This way looks pretty nice. It's very Ping-esque in its colorway. Certainly more rounded toe line on this one as well, which I think would just put a few people off. I think the other two are just more classic looking, really. That's a good shot, and that feels a little higher. I don't know if that's true. I didn't really see that so much on the dry data, but that looked like a higher flight. Again, in the feel, it's windy here today. There's a bit of misty rain around, and I think feel, it's so interesting that feel starts to disappear in these conditions because the audible is changing. Like, you can't hear the strike as well because you're just hearing the gusting of the wind. It's so interesting how much that kind of sound plays its part, isn't it? The weather's gone a bit horrible. So here is the V6, just left. Up here is the bladed iron online and slightly shorter there of the, is it the V5? So very collectible, aren't they? And it's interesting because the dry data threw up an anomaly in the middle one, but like I say, again, it leads back to me. I could game any of these irons. My favourite is the blade because of the traditions and the stuff I bring to the table. Second would be the middle one, the V6, and V5 my least favourite purely on looks. When it comes to performance, they're all kind of as good as anything. Very small differences which you would need to go and test and see if it actually helps your game. Go with the one you trust and kind of like the look and feel of, really. Very good irons, impressed. And Wilson back in town.